Hey guys, Dave your Jiu-Jitsu uncle here. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I structure games for my beginners. In this session, we're working on Kimura from the bottom. So the first game is really just to get them be aware of controlling posture from close guard and making the top person's hand touch the mat, and we're going to see how that goes. And as always, the whole point of doing CLA style of coaching is observing what the students are doing rather than hypothesizing things right up front and assume that everything will go well. Just observing the students, there are commonalities that we can see, which is the top person framing across the body. So it gave them impromptu tasks of just focusing on hand fighting, not just controlling the posture and controlling the hands. And for the top person, instead of just telling them, to avoid getting them pulled down, if they do get pulled down, try to fight the hands to get back up. So those are the only instructions given, and you can see that there's a lot more hand fighting going on and a lot more affordances for the hands to actually touch the mat for the bottom person to get a Kimura. After observing that, I realized that most of them will probably not get the idea of needing to build up height to able to get the Kimura grip. So in order to minimize that confusion, I started the second game with the bottom person posted in this structure, wherein it's pretty much like a precursor for a hip bump sweep, for example, but also a Kimura. Instead of telling them multiple steps on how to get into that position, I just started them in this position where they're in this kind of A-frame structure and their hand going over so that they can just drop down and get their Kimura grip from there. The purpose of the game is really just to get the Kimura grip for this one, nothing else. I just want to remind them also that at this stage they should not try to break people's shoulders because they don't really know what they are doing yet, and also we want to make sure that they get into that position first. So that's the purpose of this game. So part of the thing with creating games like this is to make sure that the instructions are relatively simple, especially for beginners, and observe what happens afterwards and adjust accordingly. What I noticed in this with this change of objective, getting them started, is yes, they are instinctively being able to, the bottom person at least, are more instinctive in terms of climbing up and to get that figure four grip rather than having to control and put the hand on the mat and then get up and then connect to figure four. Those are way too many steps. But I also noticed that there are a lot of instances like you see here that back take opportunities come into play. It's just that this is not the purpose of this session or this game, so we are not covering that, but you can clearly see that other than back takes, you can see that as they are trying to get a Kimura, guillotines are also in play. I also noticed that after a while, that after they do get the Kimura grip successfully, the students are quite happy, the bottom students are quite happy to be able to do that. But in a close guard scenario, there's limited things that the top person do. But again, just observe, and you can notice that people are doing reverse Kimuras here out of nowhere. If they only know certain moves, they can do Barado Platas from there and pendulum sweeps, which are really, really cool. And here you can also see that just off the course of the defense of the top person, you can see that precursors for things like double under and body lock passing are showing up. Again, this is not the purpose of this session or their learning objectives, so I don't want to add to this, but this is good information for me to structure future classes that might involve this kind of passing in these kind of scenarios. So after observing the previous game, I noticed that being in a close guard pretty much puts them back flat on the hips most of the time for the bottom person. So we switch this context now. The upper body will still do the same thing, but they are going to start off in half guard. So the only difference is obviously they're going to start off in half guard and not in close guard. It allows the top person more opportunities to escape your arm, and as well as maybe try to hop over and walk around the guard as well. And just showing what the possibilities are in this case, where as soon as your half guard might not be locked, you can finish a Kimura from there, but also if their half guard is not tightly secured, the other person most likely will try to hop over from the back or in the front, and just see what happens here. Again, I'm just giving them some idea of what can happen without really teaching them how to do that sweep, for example. So now we're going to observe again on what happens. And it's something interesting that I learned is that when the bottom person has a tight half guard locked in, a lot of times they will be able to load the top person on top of their center of gravity. When that happens, whenever the top persons try to lean forward or try to extract their arms, the opportunities to do a sweep is actually a lot higher. Again, none of these students were given instructions on how to do sweeps, for example, but you can see they're able to flip over and get the sweeps. Again, it's happened over and over again across different body types, different not levels, they're all beginners, but different levels of athleticism and strength and body frames that Kimura group sweep seems to occur quite often. Even with these two ladies, for example, these are two moms that have only tried Jiu-Jitsu for a couple of sessions, especially the lady in pink. This is her third session. After seeing that, I want to reduce the number of constraint for the top person. So in this case, I told them the bottom person still start in the same position, but remove that half guard hook, meaning they can clamp it after, but try to keep it open as much as possible during the game. Just the whole purpose of that is just to give the top person more opportunity to move around. By giving the top person more opportunity to move around, it also gives the bottom person, the attacking person, more sensitivity as to what are the moves possible, apart from just like keeping the Kimura hand trap separated, but also maybe initiate sweeps as the person starts moving around no matter which direction. And let's see what happens after we give that instructions. So as you can see right now, they got a lot of them are already staying a lot more sideways rather than being flat on their body, just because we started in the half guard, but also not allowing them to close the half guard allows them to do sweeps like these without any instructions, which is pretty cool. Again, this is quite consistent, where if the half guard is let go, there are a lot more action that can happen beyond just an overhead sweep. But at any single time that the person decides to clamp onto a half guard, just like in this case, they let the person go, but eventually the top person really drives a lot of weight forward, trying to escape forward. Instinctively, the guys were able to kind of realize, wait a minute, I can just sit up and complete the sweep from there. Again, these moves were never taught, and they were just discovering those things themselves. And eventually we noticed that there are instances where there are a lot of other attacks that are available. It's just that they don't have the technical skill yet at this point. But at the same time, if we do allow breakage, for example, if we allow taps, for example, they would probably be able to finish the Kimura, or at least generate a significantly more motion for the top person to react to and trying to pass the guard. Oh, just in case you're wondering about the box that's moving on top of the screen, that's Funk Off. That is the sportswear detergent sheets that I own. If you like to try it, just go to washfunkoff.com, and free shipping in Singapore. Anyway, back to the video. So as you can see right now, holding the Kimura position is pretty strong grip for a lot of them, and they're starting to notice that. And also, like, once they get the Kimura grip, they also notice that the closer it is, the top person's trying to cling onto them, the odds of them being able to induce a sweep because of the center of gravity issue comes up a lot higher, and they can actually finish Kimura from the top if they want to. Last example, as you can see, the natural defense of the person is trying to hide the arm, which again, once they hide the arm and they're able to keep the arm underneath the belly, there are a lot more chances for sweeps to happen. They just kind of have to be patient with it. They're trying to experiment which direction to go, and they bridge in and bridge into the other side to finish the sweep. So again, with the CLA stuff, always debrief and talk to your students on what they are experiencing and adjust the games along the way. This is really the major difference in terms of coaching CLA. It's not a one-sided thing. I hope you guys like this video.